Here goes nothing. I hope it's recording. There we go. I am editing a boudoir session, but before I do that, I got my notes back from a boudoir session I shot last week, and she gave me what I need to be able to create her album. All of my boudoir sessions include an album, a printed album. So they have to give me the images they'd like in the album, and then I design it and I send it to them to approve it, and then that's the end. That's the last step. So that's what I'm doing now. I guess I'll narrate what I'm doing so that in a way, without showing you the images, you can get a feel for what this happens every single time I'm in any chair at all. It's pretty interesting how quickly you become aware of how much you say when you're recording yourself a lot. I'm gonna try my best to narrate the feel of the photo and then the feel of the next photo for the 20 images that I'm gonna be putting in this design over the 20-page spread. Hopefully that'll give you a feeling for like the template. It's not a template, I create everything custom, but there is some sort of like ingrained template in my head. And I can tell you off the bat that it is a dance of the photos not being too similar. I could get super artsy with it and put like incredibly artsy things next to each other, but I also don't know the photos. Like I don't know what I'm about to work with. So we're gonna see. Here we go. First, I'll also tell you like the software I use. I use Fundy Designer. I use Miller's for other things, but so I used to use Miller's. Then I discovered Fundy, and it's just an incredible software to design with because it's so intuitive with moving things around if you are going to move something around, which when you're designing stuff, you do that a lot. Or you should do that a lot to see how things look. What was I gonna say? All right, so this is a new project. I'm in Fundy. I edit in Lightroom. So I edit in Lightroom. I use a Mac. I design in Fundy, and I order on Miller's. So those are the things I'm gonna be working with right now. Oh, and I deliver my galleries with Pass Plus galleries. So first thing I'm gonna do is go to Pass, log in, go to my Boudoir Babes gallery, go down to the part, if you use this, I'm gonna narrate everything so that you can follow along. I'm gonna go down to workflow. Can you see? This is ridiculous. This happened out of nowhere. I've had it for 4 years and she only just started doing this like 6 months ago. So when you go down to workflow, you're gonna see all these things on the left and one of them is favorites. So click that and that's how I see my Boudoir Babes favorite photos from their gallery. And I'm gonna download. So I click download and it's gonna ask me if I want a web size or the other zip file, and I'm gonna click the zip file. So now it's downloading it. While it's downloading, it doesn't take very long, but if my ADD takes over and I go on a wild ride, I'll get up and do the dishes because I'm in my house. This is my little corner of my studio. Well, my studio's on that side. It feels like an extension of it because I do so much of my work that I do in there over here. But this wall all into there is my studio. So this is my office, my little corner. We download, and once it's done, I'm gonna double click it. It's gonna open up. And now the files are extracted and I can see them. I'm going to open a different Finder window, go to my external hard drive that I'm working off of for the year, and go to this Boudoir Babes folder that I've created for them. I'm gonna make a new folder, I'm gonna call it Favorites. And then I'm gonna take all their favorite photos because Fundy really likes organization, and so the place I'm most organized is my hard drive. So that's why I'm not gonna import these favorite photos from my downloads file, which is where it goes on its own. I'm gonna put it into my external hard drive so that if I ever had to revisit it, I don't have to go searching and wondering, and I am not a professional organized tech person at all. I just know what works for me so that I can have sanity, and this doesn't fail me. So if I open up something, which I never have to, but if I had to, that's not true. I've had to revisit galleries in wedding land, not boudoir land. Usually that's like, I shoot it, 2 weeks later the gallery's delivered, a week later I'm making their album, and then they have their album like 3 days later. So that's usually like a short time span, but for weddings, which I also design in Fundy, that I sometimes have to go to a different hard drive. And it's just a lot easier to be able to keep my actual computer organized and clean, but still have all this organized stuff on my hard drive. So anyway, just put it in the folder that has the original raw folder of files for the gallery that you're making this from. This is, it's information you should know, but maybe I shouldn't have said it here. Either way, I make them a file in their file on the hard drive that I'm working on currently. It's called favorites because it's their favorites that they've chosen. And now I'm going over to Fundy. I can close everything out and I'm gonna start a new project. So you click new project and I always name it the name of my boudoir babe and then I say B-sesh and the year. All right, so I'm pushing OK on a new project and then it opens up. Once you've been working in it for a while, you can organize all these things. I work with Miller's, Artifact Uprising, and I think once or twice I've done WHCC, but really it's just Miller's and Artifact Uprising. So I really like lay flats because you can just design with a little more space because you don't have to consider that the album is like maybe gonna go like this. It really does lay flat and you can design even across the crease. I'm naming the album. The project is whatever it's called, but I always name the album the same as the project. It's just easier for me because I am not tech savvy. I'm not tech savvy, but I really love to not complicate things for myself if I can help it. Okay, so I have everything here, and now that file that I created in the external hard drive that I'm using for the year, the file is called faves. I'm just gonna take it and drag it into the area that says drag photos here to start a new project. Now they're importing. Now they're done importing. It's been a few seconds. I always ask my boudoir babes to give me like some of their favorite photos, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a heart on the ones that are their favorites. And I have to go to my email to find that because that's where they tell me about it. It really makes me happy when I'm culling a gallery. We already know that if you deliver too many images, then you're gonna water down the great ones. So while I'm culling a gallery, I'm sometimes on my third round and I'm looking and I go, which one? And when I see that the one I decided to keep, because it was so close to another one that was amazing, ends up being something that they choose as a favorite, it does a special kind of something to me where I'm like, I understood this person. Like we connected, we made great imagery, and I made a good decision without them even being here. And it just further solidifies the feeling of like, just the good feeling that boudoir gives you. It gives them a great feeling, gives me a good feeling. And then afterwards, editing the gallery is so rewarding. Sending it to them is another gift. They feel like it's a whole nother experience when they see their full gallery. And then when they get the actual album in hand, and then when they're usually gifting it to someone, that's another. It's just a evergreen type of situation. So anyway, I'm gonna heart her favorites, and I got sidetracked because one of her favorites was one that I wasn't sure between that and a different one because they're so similar looking, and I'm glad that I chose what I did. Ooh, I have no water there, no. I have to go get some water. It doesn't take me very long. Maybe I'll play that ADHD game with myself and not get a water until I'm done with this. Okay, so with the favorites, I like to put them in the beginning, somewhere in the middle, and the end. Definitely one in the beginning and one in the end, but sometimes I'll put two in the beginning and one in the end. But regardless, I always end and begin on at least one favorite. I don't like to go too strong, too sexy for the first one, so I think I'm probably gonna do one of these guys. So this is her looking at herself in a mirror. And then for the final one, I think I'm gonna do this one where she's like, kind of like tangled up in herself. Hopefully at this point I'll have an example of this pose because I plan on recreating some of my poses with myself. So This I call like the pretzel pose, and she chose that one. She's got a veil on, she's in the upstairs studio, it's really nice, and it's a harsh lighting, so it's got like a nice shadow behind her. And I really love that for the upstairs studio and to like kind of finale up there. And then her third favorite is a very long photo of her laying on her bed and her arm is out, her legs are out. Like, she's a very long human in this photo. One thing I'm going to look at is what is she doing with her face. So her face is straight on in all of these, and that's important for me to note because the ones I'm going to put next to this, I'd like it to give me a feeling that it's different. So if she's looking at me in these anchor photos that I've just created for myself, because essentially this is a puzzle and we're putting it together, I'm gonna consider that I need to look for a different style of facial expression or body pose to give the gallery a sense of movement as you're flipping through the pages. So now I have my photos where I think they might be most, if I could show you this, it would really be wonderful, but I'd have to do this with one of my Boudoir session exchange galleries because they approved for those images to be able to be seen. So I'll do this again, but at least for this, maybe it's like podcast style where you can just like listen to this since I'm giving so much audible description. After I put down the favorite images where I think they might do best, I go to the filter button on the bottom left and I click unused images so that it's showing me what I have left to use. I'll see them on the spread in front of me because I have all 20 spreads in front of me, but I like to see what I have left in the little thumbnails on the bottom. So I have a mixture of facing me photos, I have a decent amount of detail photos, and I've got 5 pretty far away photos. So this is, if you can imagine this, frontal, far away, details, right? So that was just a little dance. Frontal, far away, details. So that's it's gonna feel like that in the album. All right, so here you go. Also, Fundy allows you to customize the way the layout is, and then if you really like it, you could save it. So I have a My Designs button, which is something I tend to go towards when designing. That's what I'm looking at right now. Now, what I just did is I have a 2-image spread and I wanted to see what it looked like if I switched the photos. In Fundy, all you have to do is take the photo and just drag and drop it into where the other photo is and see what it looks like. And then it just adjusts the size. So I had a portrait and a landscape orientation photo. I just swapped them without like any effort. And that's what I really love about Fundy. You just take the image, drag it where you want it after you've picked a template that you might have designed or that they already had for you. And when I put any sort of font, I always put it in either black or white. Actually, I did do color once for a wedding album, but we're sticking to Boudoir. It's always in italics, and it's never bigger than 12 font. So hopefully that's helpful. All right, so what I did on her first spread is I took one of her favorite photos. It is a close-up, essentially, of her looking at me. I was trying to figure out how do I highlight this photo best, and that was, I decided, with a black and white photo on the other side, and it's really far back in the same room, but she's really, really far back, and she's so centered in the room of my Bohemian bedroom studio that the words I decided to put above her head fit very perfectly in the anchoring items in the photo. And I didn't think too hard about this. I just grabbed that photo to see how it would look, put the words over it just to see how it would look with this photo, knowing that if I decide to change it, the words will stay there, I think. But either way, I just got like a shot of dopamine because I was like, this looks great. And that's usually how it goes. I start off with whatever I have and then things just start making sense and I love it. So these are 2 landscape photos next to each other. But one's a really close up and one is further away. All right, well, when I finish this, I'm going to explain what is what. In the meantime, I'm gonna record myself in fast motion so that I can just throw that into the editing. Fast motion next.